Hey riders, welcome to another video in our adventure motorcycle gear review series. I'm Eric Lange with Ride Adventures. I've been riding and guiding motorcycle trips around the world and creating our touring and renting services since 2008. In today's video, I'm going to talk through the differences between Alpinestars Tech 7 boots and their Tech 10s. And if you're in the market for either motorcycle boot, I think I can help you decide which one's right for you. So let's get in character. So if you've been looking into either Alpinestars Tech 7s or the Tech 10s, you probably realize they are definitely leaders in the motorcycle boot market. But they come from two different perspectives too. You have a purely motocross design, and then within the Tech 7 you have motocross and enduro, or more of an adventure riding design. And so if you know anything about Ride Adventures, you know that we are very heavily into adventure touring and travel. And so that's mostly the perspective I'm going to be speaking to you about these different boot options. So we should walk through first and talk about the different models of each so you understand what I'm talking about. So on the Tech 7 side of things, there are three different models. First, their motocross version. You might want to buy that, of course, if you're racing motocross or supercross. There's a specific reason I'll explain in a moment why that boot might be for you. But what we're focused on here is their Enduro model of the Tech 7. So they have the Tech 7 Enduro and the Tech 7 Dry Star Enduro, which adds a waterproofing membrane, perfect for adventure travel if you get yourself into those situations. On the Tech 10 side of things, there's two versions. Both fall under the motocross category. So they have the standard Tech 10 and then a Tech 10 Super Vented, which allows for more air ventilation to come in. Those of us dealing with the hottest of weather conditions and problems with hot feet and things like that, that might be the best model for you. Back to the Tech 7, as I explained, there's the motocross version, and then there's basically two versions of the Enduro. And the motocross is going to have a more pliable sole to it, something that's going to allow a rider to feel every single molecule of the motorcycle as best as they can as they're cranking out lap times, doing their best to shave off every 1/10 of a second on every lap that they can, but they're only doing this at 20 or 22 minutes or whatever it is for your standard motocross or supercross moto. Being on your foot doesn't require that much durability to the arch of your sole, being able to withstand the weight of your body and the pounding on the foot pegs. So having a slightly more pliable sole on the motocross version, again, is specifically for that type of riding. For those of us doing enduro riding, longer hare scrambles, an hour, 2 hours, or adventure riding where you might be in off-road situations, beautiful places around the world, rugged terrain with no pavement in sight, you might need to be on your feet for 7 or 8 hours per day. And so what Alpinestars has done here with the Enduro models is made a more rugged, durable footbed that's going to give a little bit more support to help your feet stay more comfortable for longer hours on those foot pegs. An important point I want to make about all three Tech 7 and both Tech 10 models is that there's a replaceable sole insert. You can order these aftermarket. If you ever wear down from too much time on the foot pegs or whatever, you wear down that arch of the foot, they're replaceable. So again, when you're buying into an expensive high-end quality boot like this, you're actually getting possibly a lifetime boot that you could have just by replacing those inserts. So let's start to talk through again why you would choose one boot over the other, starting with the topic of protection.
Round one, fight!
So on the topic of protection, the Tech 10s have some features that the Tech 7s do not, starting with their asymmetrical dual pivot arms, which come on an inner booty that is actually removable from the Tech 10s. Again, an entire booty that does not even exist on the Tech 7s. So these asymmetrical dual pivot arms are supporting members like you see right here on both sides of the ankle, going to give you support and rigidity, and also some crushing side protection like that. An interesting side note, on the new version, I'm able to keep both of those arms on my boot just fine and walk around comfortably. On my older version of my Tech 10s, I actually had to remove that. It just was digging into the side of my ankle, so I actually removed the outer one on each boot and went without it. But this booty alone, and again, those pivot arms right there, are giving you support and protection from the sides. Another feature in the Tech 10s that the Tech 7s don't have is their dynamic heel compression protection shock absorber, which is basically a shock absorber built into the outer shell here of the boot in the heel there, specifically designed to absorb unexpected or heavy impacts. If you're out there leading with your foot going through a turn and you happen to hit a rock or a rut or a log or something like that that just wasn't expected, that can be quite a bit on your heel of your foot, and so that extra compression protection right there is going to help riders stay safer. And so while there are quite a few technical differences between the boots, the last feature I'll mention on the Tech 10 that the Tech 7 doesn't have is what they call their frontal flexion control frame. And so it's giving you right here at the front of your ankle the ability to flex the boot forward and back as you need to, but also because of that rigid structure, the plastic in there, it's giving you some kind of protection against foot pegs, rocks coming off, whatever happens to be hitting your ankle like that. And I say that's not too much of a difference from what the Tech 7 has, because while it isn't the same design, you actually have an entire buckle right there protecting the front of your ankle from, again, foot pegs, rocks, or whatever you might be hitting on while you're riding. So on the topic of buckles, you'll notice that the Tech 10 only has 3 buckles. The Tech 7 has 4. All are replaceable if you should ever happen to break them. So the only major difference being one more buckle to do a little bit longer to put on the Tech 7s. But as far as overall protection and why I choose to go with the Tech 10 after all these years is that superior level of protection. You'll feel it though. When you're in both boots, you will feel more rigidity to the Tech 10s that feels more like a ski boot does, for example, than the Tech 7s do. There's a solidarity to it, there's a stiffness, and all that translates through into resistance against compression, impact. You know, I've felt what happens when a rider has hit me in the back on a tour and the bike ends up on my side and on my leg, and I've felt the resistance that the Tech 10 is offered by pressing back against the weight of that bike on my ankle. And that means something to me. I don't care about the slightly stiffer boot that the Tech 10 is. I don't care that maybe it's a little more difficult to walk in. I want the highest levels of protection. And so although it is a motocross specific boot, that is why for adventure riding and touring, I still choose to go with the Tech 10s.
You have to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky?
Topic of comfort, well, there's kind of 2 categories to talk about that in. You talk about on-bike comfort or off. So starting with on-bike, neither is really uncomfortable. As long as you have a boot that fits you properly, these are both very comfortable boots, and it's going to come up to the individual to decide which one they feel better with when they're on the bike. As far as off-bike comforts goes, having to walk and actually move around off the bike, well then the Tech 7 is definitely your leader. Again, what I was saying before about the 10, it's more like a ski boot. If you've ever walked through the parking lot in ski boots, that stiff, rigid boot just doesn't work well with walking and moving around. The Tech 7 is a bit more like a hiking boot. It's got better flexibility in the ankle, and it's going to roll along better as you need to move around on your bike. So the type of riding and tours that we do is they're really focused on the riding. We don't have many long walks during our riding days of our tours. But if things change, if you're ever on a route that needs more walking during the day, if you need to get out for a mile or two, you might appreciate the comfort of the Tech 7 as it is for off the bike like that. So I'm going to give a nod to the Tech 7 for being the overall more comfortable of the 2 boots.
Hasta la vista, baby.
And how about the topic of riding sensation and overall performance? You know, how you're going to feel the bike through your boots. Are you able to conduct what you need to through your feet? And is it performing for you as you want it to, doing athletic maneuvers and such on the bike? So you can look at this and say, as I was referring to before, the Tech 10 being a thicker feeling, more durable, more sturdy and stiff boot could reduce your overall sensitivity and sensation of the bike beneath you. The Tech 7 being a little bit more light and thinner and more pliable does not have maybe that much obstructing sensation between the bike and your feet. On the flip side though, if the Tech 10 is really more stiff and protective and sort of maybe blocking those sensations, how is it that you have Eli Tomac and Justin Barcia and all these guys, the top riders out there in the world, who demand the absolute best in sensitivity coming through their feet to be able to feel every single thing that's happening with the bike and shave tenths of a second off of their lap times? Why is it that those guys are riding that more, shall we say, block-like boot than the Tech 7? Well, you know, as we said, maybe it's they want that protection Maybe it's also that they want the sponsorship situation to sell the most expensive boot for Alpinestars, but maybe it's also that, again, just the design of this boot and the way that it is put together, even with that separate inner booty like that, it still does offer you really great sensitivity of the bike and what's happening through your feet like that. So between these two on sensation and performance, I'm actually going to say it's a tie between the two. It's going to come up to you, the rider. Which boot do you feel better on? Which one makes you feel the bike better in? From the standpoint of the break-in period, how long it's going to take you to get these boots working and flowing with your shifting needs and everything like that, the Tech 7 being the slightly more flexible and pliable boot to begin with is going to be quicker to break in and get up and ready to ride for you. So I have no problem though with the Tech 10s. You know, it's a stiffer boot to begin with, but walking in them and using them, I have no problem. After a little while, they do break in just fine. I have no problems shifting while standing, seated, no problem whatsoever. But immediately out of the box, if you need a boot ready to go right now without any break-in time, the Tech 7 is going to be the easier one to get broken in. From the standpoint of durability, look, you're talking about a manufacturer of boots who's been doing this for a long time, Alpinestars, leading the motorcycle boot category with their construction. You've got replaceable straps, as I mentioned, if you ever happen to break a buckle or a strap, replaceable on all models. The insert, the sole beneath the pegs, if that ever wears out, again, replaceable. So really a type of boot on both sides. You could have these for a lifetime. My old Tech 10s, excuse me, that I wore for between 8 and 9 years, still actually holding up fine. The sole is separating a little bit, gonna have to work on that, but that's after 8 years again of riding in Southeast Asia and getting them soaked with and caked with mud, and then having to run to the airport and sticking them in my luggage where they sit there all moldy and nasty for 2 days before my flight home. And still I can pull that booty out and clean these things up. The stink goes away and the materials are all holding together literally just fine. Just a little bit of work to do on the sole, but again, a boot that has seen a lot of countries around the world, a lot of miles over a lot of years, and is still perfectly fine to be ridden in. Tyler's old Tech 7s, again, the motocross version of it, still holding up just fine. He still actually prefers to wear these for the hottest riding that we do. You know, some of our Baja rides in the winter months do get hot towards southern Baja, and he has commented that having the old motocross version breathes a little bit better and is cooler, of course, than the newer Dry-Star Enduro models. Again, that waterproofing membrane keeping the boot a little bit hotter, so he prefers having his old ones for the hot weather. But again, you're talking about Alpinestars durability. You could buy either boot and perhaps have them for a lifetime. They both win. How about the topic of squeakiness? Very important to consider when you're shopping for motorcycle boots, right? Well, it ends up being something that we joke about internally, as it does happen a lot with these boots. You know, anytime you're in this category of boot, an enduro or a motocross full protection kind of a boot like this, you've got multiple materials, plastics and rubbers and metals all having to work and flow together, both to provide you that level of protection, but also the flexibility and performance that you need. It's just going to happen that it might make some noise and you'll hear those boots versus some more simple boots out there on the market, just offering, you know, leather and rubber and a couple of simple parts that don't offer as much protection. These might end up making more noise for you than others will. Again, that simple noise, you just have to learn to deal with it. It's part of having boots in this category.
No. 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 You must go.
Then, of course, there's the topic of price. And for that, we're going to keep current links in the description below so you can check current prices yourself. You will find that the Tech 10s are the more expensive boot when compared to the Tech 7 series. For me, going back to that original topic of protection, the most important reason why we wear motorcycle boots in the first place, I don't care that they are the more expensive. I'm going with the most protective boot no matter what it takes. It does not mean that you're not getting a protective boot with the Tech 7s. They are lower cost, and as we went through that list of categories, they definitely do win in certain categories like comfort and walking and things like that. So if you're spending less on the Tech 7s, still means you're getting a great boot. Just choose which one is for you.
Oh, man!
So between the Tech 7s and the Tech 10s, I don't doubt that there is an ideal motorcycle boot here for you. Let us know in the comments below which one are you going with and why. Also, as mentioned, in the description area, we're going to keep current links to these boots. You can see the different models and the pricing available for each. We've noticed and appreciate those of you who are shopping through those links. Doing so to buy the motorcycle gear that you're probably buying already anyway does go to support the channel and what we're doing here. So be sure to like and subscribe and share the video to others that want to learn about this stuff too. And thanks for watching, everyone. Ride on. We'll see you out there.
Action! Okay, I can see your belly. Can you hold it out more?
Jesus, man.